Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that so many agencies were able to take the time out to join us this morning. I want to welcome all of y'all. I want to welcome our media partners also who are here in attendance. My name is Jose Sanchez. I'm with the UISD's Public Relations Department. In 2010, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security instituted the If You See Something, Say Something campaign. DHS and its campaign partners across the country come together to remind the public to be aware of suspicious activity and to know how to report it to law enforcement. Together, DHS, the U.S. Department of Education, U.S. Department of Justice, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services created schoolsafety.gov to share actionable recommendations to keep school communities safe. This collaboration and our collaboration, UISD, with all of our local law enforcement partners, helps to all of our schools to prevent, protect, mitigate, respond to, and recover from a range of school safety threats, hazards, and emergency situations. At UISD, the safety of our students and staff is always our number one priority. On a local level, we want to take this opportunity today to thank all of our law enforcement agencies for all of the assistance that you give us and for always being there to help our UISD Police Department and to help our UISD schools, our students, our teachers, our administrators, all of us to keep our schools and our communities safe. Right. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Actually, I think the applause should go to all of y'all. You literally put your lives on the line every day to keep our communities safe. All right, so I would like to continue by introducing our guests. We have from the county attorney's office, we have Chief Tino Lopez. If you'd stand and be recognized, sir. Thank you. Okay. All right, representing Constable Precinct 1, the Honorable Guadalupe Gomez, we have Deputy Jorge Garza and Deputy Rafael Cepeda. If you would stand and be recognized, please. Representing the UTRGV Police Department, Officer E.X. Flores. And on the federal side of the house, we've got representing the FBI, Agent Eduardo Leal. We have our Chief Border Patrol Agent for the Laredo sector, Agent Jesse D. Munoz. Thank you, and you brought your entire cohort with you. Yes, indeed. All right, great, great. All right, and last but certainly not least, well, not quite last because I just saw our UISD PD, but we'll get to you. We have our Laredo Police Chief, Miguel, is it Miguel? Miguel Rodriguez. I had it written down and I lost it. I'm sorry about that, Chief. Thank you for joining us today, and of course you brought your entire cohort, your leadership team as well. It's great to have you guys here. And last but certainly, absolutely not least, our UISD Police Department is here. We have PIO Sylvia Abrego here with us today. And one of the investigators with our police department is here as well. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. So now I would like to also introduce our superintendent's management team here in attendance. And please stand and be recognized. Guys, thank you. And our superintendent of schools, Dr. Gerardo Cruz. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, sir. All right. It is my pleasure now to introduce to speak Laredo Police Chief Miguel Rodriguez.
Well, good morning, everyone. Pleasure being here today with you, sharing a little bit about what we've been doing in the background after several situations that have happened in our city and our school. Working very, very hard to make sure that we get it right. There's been a lot of lessons learned from a lot of things that have been happening across the nation and even in our state. So one of the things that we're doing is that we're trying to make sure that everybody has the communication that they need to make sure that we continue to get better at that communication component. And it's important that we talk about this because it seems to us that every time that we talk about an incident is a communication failure. And that's the number one reason why sometimes we fail in what we do. So one of the things that we've been proposing with UISD, and the conversation is already getting a lot of traction with LISD, is the fact that we can implement one of our UISD police officers and our LISD police officers into our TAG unit, which is our Texas Anti-Gang Unit, where our federal partners are there, FBI, Border Patrol, CBP, HSI, ATF, all the agencies are in that unit. And so one of the things that we would want to implement is that once we have the officers there from the ISDs, is now we're going to have that communication and that collaboration when we're launching an investigation towards a threat to life to any of our schools. And so it's important that we recognize the fact that if we don't have this collaboration at the very beginning of when it happens, failure happens in the communication aspect, and our community starts getting very worried as to what's going to occur and who's going to take over the investigation, and are we investigating this, or are we investigating that? If we have one message coming from that group, it will alleviate the problems that we've been seeing in our community, which is communication, right? We keep on getting the same post, and people start putting different things to that post, and it's important that we understand what we're dealing with. So we're starting off with that, but I know today is about see something, say something, but I want to start off with this because I think it's important that the community understands what is the work that we're doing in the background. And I know the agencies here, they know exactly what I'm talking about, and everybody comes into play when we're investigating a threat to life to any of our schools. And it is important that we continue doing that because we don't want a tragedy to happen. And one of the main things, the main objective is for it not to happen, to be proactive instead of reactive. Once we become reactive, we failed. And so this see something, say something is very critical to every time that we respond to a threat to life to any of our schools. So we urge not only the students, but the parents, the teachers, counselors, to make sure that they understand, because we're looking at behavior. At the end of the day, we're looking and we're searching for that behavior, that change of behavior that is going to dictate if somebody else is, if that student or that person is acting in a different way, or if that student or that person has some sort of problem. Even if it's mental, we have the resources to attack that problem and address that problem. So we continue to urge the public, we continue to urge the students, but also our teachers and counselors and principals to make sure that if they see something, they say something. So again, I appreciate the support coming from our ISD leadership, support coming from our law enforcement leadership. We're also appreciative of the support from our media partners, because I know that right away they put out what is the right thing that we're doing, and also to make sure that we decompress after the fact. So again, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for all your support.
Thank you, Chief Rodriguez. All right, and I just saw that one of our board members, Michelle Molina, has arrived. Ms. Molina, she's here. Did you want to say a few words? Michelle Molina will say a few words now.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank everyone for being here today. Every agency that's here, it's very important to us. It means a lot to us as a school district. You know, protecting our children, it's not something that we can do alone. I want to thank our UISD Police Department, our PIO, Ms. Sylvia Abrego. She does a lot, our UISD department does a lot to to kick off this campaign, to enforce this campaign throughout the year, to help even our administration, to help out our campus administration. What happens? What do we need to do to educate our students, our teachers, our administration? If you see something unusual, say something. And what happens after you say something? What are the protocols? What are the procedures? What is it that needs to happen once we say something? And I'm thankful to our administration, I'm thankful to UIZPD for constantly educating our students, teachers, our staff, our employees. But you know, our students are everywhere, and that's why we train and we educate. If they see something, someone that's at our campus, at one of our facilities without a badge, someone that looks suspicious, someone that looks nervous, that needs to be addressed, not to be afraid to say something, because we do have the protocols in place to be able to take care of that. But it extends beyond our campuses. It extends beyond our facilities to protect our children. And that is why I am thankful to see so many different law enforcement agencies supporting us here today to kick off this campaign at the beginning of the school year. So thank you for being here. Thank you for always supporting our school district. Thank you for always being there and arriving just in time. ASAP, you can't stress that enough. So we've had, you know, some threats, as mentioned earlier, but the fact that you are there and you're there to support us and you're there to help us, all hands on deck, that's what's important. So thank you again. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Molina. And next, I would like to introduce our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Gerardo Cruz, to please say a few words.
Certainly a good day to be part of United ISD. Thank you to all our community partners and most especially our law enforcement. Without you, many of the initiatives cannot be implemented effectively. There's been a rise of social threats. We have seen it not only here at UISD, other school districts, and throughout the state. We need to take these seriously. Many of our students, or most of these threats do come from students. If it's not locally, it's statewide or nationally. And you know, with all the social media, you know, it begins to trend, and they think it's funny, and they think it's, hey, let me make a threat, let me make a posting. But what our students don't understand, that there are consequences to that. They are violating laws, and once we find out, and we do find out, I do want to give a big shout out to our Safety and Security Department, who takes every threat seriously. I want to assure the community and parents that every threat that we get, we make sure that it's a reliable threat. Even if it's not reliable, we make sure that we communicate to our parents to let our parents know. And I think that communication has really garnered more trust in terms of our law enforcement and what we do at the school district, and making our parents know that things are safe. I'm proud to say that every campus has an armed police officer, and we do have security guards. Big shout out to every single security guard on our campuses, because they are the ones in the front lines and they're the ones giving us the information. Big shout out to our counselors who see our students day in and day out, who are to identify students who are in struggle, students who are in stress, and make those recommendations to be sure that we get the resources needed for our students. Security guards play a very, very vital role, and without them, a lot of the information that we get would not be without them. So I just want to let everyone know, thank you for your partnership, and it's with the communication and many of the initiatives that we have in place, just like this one. Say something, see something, say something, and do something. I want to let all our students know that if you see something, it's your obligation to tell the teacher or to tell an adult, and we're here to provide all the safety measures, and parents as well. Parents are also in the front line. Many of the threats that we get, they call in the police department, they call in the superintendent's office and say, hey, my son or daughter says, you know, this is going to happen at a school. And from there, you know, we take necessary steps to be sure that we get the communication out and maintain safety and security day in and day out. Again, thank you very much. Thank you to all our law enforcement. We do want to continue the great partnership and continue that we have the communications in place to be sure that we have our most vital assets, which are our children and our adults who are serving our kids, to make sure that they're safe and to protect teaching and learning as much as we can. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Cruz. Our Executive Director of Public Relations, Susan Carlson, and our instructional television crew have produced public service announcements in English and in Spanish, which feature our UISD Safety and Crisis Response Administrator, Ruben Ayala. If y'all don't know him, here he is. Mr. Ayala, thank you for everything you do. Also features our UISD Police Chief, Aaron Salazar, who I don't believe is with us. Also, Associate Superintendent of Administration and Operation Services, Mike Garza, appears in this. And, of course, our Superintendent of Schools, who you just heard speak, Dr. Cruz, is in this. So let's have a look at it. Please direct your attention to the screen. And here are the PSAs that we're running on television and on social media.
Due to recent events, there is a growing concern for safety and security in our schools.
Talk of violence or harm to others or school property will not be tolerated.
Comments like that will be taken seriously, even if you're just joking.
This includes voicemails, emails, texting, or social media.
Those who violate these rules will face serious consequences.
A threat to cause violence is no joke. Don't do it.
Remember, if you hear something or see something, say something.
Please report it.
Debido a hechos recientes, hay preocupación por la seguridad y protección en nuestras escuelas.
Hablar de violencia y de dañar a los demás o propiedad escolar no se tolerará.
Esos comentarios tendrán consecuencias, aunque sean sola una broma.
Esto incluye correos de voz y electrónicos, mensajes de texto o redes sociales.
Quienes no cumplan con esas reglas enfrentarán graves consecuencias.
Una amenaza que incite a la violencia no es una broma.
Si escuchan o ve algo,
Denúncielo.
And I forgot to mention that I came out in that too. I'm the guy in the hoodie getting tossed in the slammer. Yeah. A star. Indeed. Well then, that concludes our press conference today. Thank you so much, everyone.